Thank you, mate, and thank you all for organizing this, and all of you for being here. This is the task I made this year for Prince of Persia. This is a DOS game, so this is not a console. And this game was released 30 years ago, a little bit more than that, in 1990. And for a little bit of lore before we start, this is the first game I actually ever played when I was 5 years old or so. And my father had this IBM computer, and this was the only game we had. And I was absolutely fascinated by the fluidity and how things. It was like playing a movie actually at that time, and still today, when I play it or when I watch the video or speedrun, I'm still fascinated by it. So it's a long-standing fascination. Earlier this year, I wasn't planning of being a tasker or doing a task ever. Early this year, I was curious about what's the state of speedrunning in this game. When I was a child, we used to try to beat it as fast as possible because the game itself pushes you to that. There's a Hall of Fame at the end. And the goal of the game is to beat the 14 levels in less than 60 minutes. Otherwise, the princess will have to marry the evil Jafar, and you want to save her from that. So we will try to beat the game as fast as possible, as I said. And I was curious, after 30 years, who was the best, right? In speedrun.com. I joined there and I watched. The first place was actually a guy that beat the game in 14 minutes. And I was mind blown. So I decided to join the community, the speedrunning community for Prince of Persia, and I would suggest you to take a look at that. And I found myself there as a glitch hunter. Suddenly, I was looking for ways to improve the speed of some levels, and I discovered actually a couple of game-breaking skips. The game went from 14 minutes to 12 minutes all of a sudden, or around 12 minutes, and I thought that was my contribution. But then we took things further. Someone came up with the idea of developing a bot, breath search bot that would take a look at all of the possible positions and all of the possible actions at every given frame to look for the best path for the given route that the community had found. And that took a life of its own. The next task, the task you're going to see now, has been made using exclusively this bot. So there's a lot of routing by the communities, a lot of ideas, but every single frame, every single action you will see was determined by brute force exploration. And we took it as far as running this bot in a supercomputer on 12,000 cores and several terabytes of memory, and we ended up exploring around 800 billion combinations, and the result was yes, this is something we did. The result was a run that is 12 minutes and 10 seconds in-game time. That it means that we are almost there in the fifth of the allowed time in the game. So that's what you're going to see is the fastest way to ever beat this game. So without further ado, let's do a countback, and then I try to tell you what's going on at every part of the game, but I suggest you to come back to it later on TASVideos.org. Of course, I also did the Prince of Persia 2 task in the same fashion. It took a lot more effort because that wasn't Genesis, but we developed a version of the bot for Genesis, and I was also working on a version of the bot for NES, but that's a little bit more complicated. Okay, let's do a countdown. I try to explain, and then if you want, watch it again later on. So 3, 2, 1, let's go. So booting the computer, level 1. It's pretty short. You need to grab a sword and beat the guard, but we found a way to not need the sword. We can just jump around the guard, and then we are in the final screen, and we are almost done. 24 seconds for this level. We taunted the guard a little bit, but we ultimately escaped. Level copyright screen, we managed the RNG to grab the first potion that opens the door, and we are out. So this is the fastest way to beat the copyright screen. Level 2 is one of the longest levels in the game. You have to fight a lot of guards and kill them, but we find ways to evade all of the guards here. So what you're seeing is almost the fastest way to solve this level. As of today, I found a way to beat this level 1 frame faster. So this is obsolete. Okay, so we skip this card. We get a boost from a hit on us, so we lose some health. But then this helps us beat the game faster, and this guy, it doesn't exist. We just go around him. We jump specifically to not get bumped against the wall. Then we meet this other guard here and skip him also. Sheath the sword and run for our lives. Now we're gonna run over the spikes. This should kill us, but in a specific frame, a specific pixel, we just don't hit the hitbox, basically, and we can jump over it. Here we have to turn down this tile, and then jump again, and we're almost done with level 2. Now we're going to jump to this other part of the screen to open the exit door. And here we step on the void to jump again back, and we are almost there. Level 3 is again one of the largest one. It is the single level that we have, for which we have not found any skip, any noticeable glitch. It's only good execution that any player can do. And in fact, the world record for this level is almost exactly as the TAS. The only difference is way to the end. What we do when the skeleton appears, spoiler alert, is take a hit from the skeleton, but this hit needs to be done immediately after the skeleton wakes up, and the only way to have this happen is manipulating RNG, which is exactly what the bot in this case did. So we restart here to advance a few frames. The skeleton there is inactive, but it will wake up. We go and try to open the exit door. We go way down. The execution here is flawless also. There's no more frames to gain. Here we open the door, and this triggers the skeleton to come back to life, as you will see soon. So all of this is perfect execution. We have to evade the chomper. This thing that cuts you in half is a chomper, but we can jump across it. Here the skeleton rises again, hits us in a perfect frame, and we are out. We are almost there to the exit screen for level 4, which is the most broken level, almost the most broken level. Here we lure the guard to open the door for us, skipping half of the level. This shouldn't be, but it is. And then we skip the guard again without taking a hit, and then we are off for the last part of the level. Here we will find another guard, which we will also skip, step back a little bit, lure him into the dark part of the screen where nothing is seen. We lure him again, and then we do a position overflow with the bit that determines the horizontal position of the guard, such that he will teleport. When he teleports, we use him to go across the wall to activate the exit door, and then we go back. When we go back, the mirror will appear, which will create our shadow. And when the shadow appears, the guard disappears, and then we can just run freely to the exit. So this is how you beat level 4 in 2021. Level 5 is pretty much also optimized. We will use a guard here, lure him to come with us, and then when he comes with us, he will follow us, and then we, thanks to him being there, we can go to the dark part of the screen where we can cross this door previously unopened. So we skip the door and half of the level with it. Then we keep ignoring the other guards, jumping across them. There's another guard here, and now we do the same trick of stepping onto the dark part of the screen to activate the exit door before we even get to the last part of the screen. So we activated this door before the opening tile was open or visible. Now level 6 is perfectly optimized. There's no way to gain any frames here. We just have to cross, run, keep this guard, jump precisely under the door to have the door push us a little bit, and then jump, and go back. Level 7 is the big skip. This is the biggest discovery of this year. What we do here is go over here and use this guard to do a moonwalk, like Michael Jackson, with him into the dark part of the screen, to have him activate the loose tile and drop, But before he drops to his death, we get out of the screen to have him lose momentum. He drops again alive, pushes us through the door, and we are done with this level. So we skipped 70% of this level just by using this guard and manipulating him and not having him die from the fall by canceling his momentum. Yes, this is something we discovered. Level 8, something happens here. In level 8, another huge discovery. Beat Jonas because we canceled his fall by exiting the screen. We lure this guy to hit him, and he falls into the lower part of the screen. And you may ask yourself why, because this next screen is useless. Well, it's not that useless. This screen is placed above the last part of the level, and this guard will help us get across the wall and into the floor and to the last part of the level. And now the only thing we need to do is cross these jumpers, activate the exit door, and then jump again, get hurt by the jumper somehow, and then we wait for the mouse to appear. And this is just waiting, just going in circles, and at some point the mouse will come to save the day for us. There he is, and then we perfectly execute the fall here and go back to the end of the level. So level 9 is ripe for donations if there's any. It's the longest one, and there's not many discoveries made until the end.
Don't forget, you can always donate at donate.TASGiving.org to support the National Alliance on Mental Illness. The National Alliance on Mental Illness has become the nation's leading voice on mental health, providing awareness and support to those in need. You can learn more about NAMI at nami.org. That's nami.org.
All right, so we continue to skip guards. In this case, we have to press this tile to open the door to the left, and we just skip the guy. This is a pacifist run, except for the last kill, which is the one you need to kill to beat the game. But basically, the fastest route is not to hurt or to touch any of the guards, which I think it's very nice. It's very pacifist. Here we will find another guard, which we will also ignore with this funny way. He keeps attacking us, but he misses every shot. That's a couple of the things that the bot found that it's very funny to see. This is also perfect execution. Here we will trigger a bug where by jumping in this precise way, the jumper on the bottom will not activate, allowing us to run straight to the opening door. This saves a couple frames, and at the end of this level is the only glitch, the only skip we have found, which is you don't need to open the last door because you can use this card to push you across it, as you will see now. A push, you skip through the door, and then you are out of the level. Otherwise, you have to open this door by doing some previous movements, and that loses time. Level 10 is hugely broken. As you will see, this skip was found by someone I don't know, so it's for me it's a mystery. But what's going to happen here is something called screen overflow, integer overflow. By doing this precise movement, you can teleport to the top part of the screen, and then you are on the last part of the level already. So don't ask me how it works. I have never understood. This card, you can use him also to make you go through the door. It's very hard to do this also in RTA, but it's doable. And then you jump here, take damage to avoid the pain, and then the guard stares at you while you escape. Level 11 is also one of those levels we haven't been able to break quite a lot. There's something funny. Now when we will go to the ceiling, so this is normal route. You have to go into the ceiling to press these tiles and make them fall. But here we take damage to avoid the fall pain, so that loses a couple frames. We jump over the chasm. Then we go to this guard, and this guard we will also ignore. We have to do this careful step. We jump, we ignore him, and then we jump again and to the last part of the level. This is all very, I would say, standard in a normal RTA run. But this card, what you will see happen is something that no one has seen before this task. This was a surprise. We will use him. Actually, we will not activate the exit door. We will have this card do it for us because he's a good guy. We will manipulate him to first fall, and then he will try to pursue us and then activate the exit door for us. So he's a nice friend of us and then allows us to escape. This is not faster than the normal route, but it was so funny for everyone that losing 5 frames to just to see this animation, so just to see this happening was totally worth it. Level 12 is also good execution, but there is a way to skip a huge part of the level, which will come soon. First, we have to go this way, go up a little bit more. Yep, skipperoo. Nice guy, guard. Yeah, absolutely. We will see the skeleton here. This is meant to scare you because you have had already a bad experience with skeletons, but this guy will not activate, so that's all good. Yeah, Bob, I also think like that. When it's a couple of frames, you can just gain style points. Here, this is not part of the normal route. Here you do this trick to do also an integer overflow to get to the screen on top, skipping a big part of the level. So now we face our Jungian shadow, supposedly in the normal run, but because we skipped, he appears only after we go to this out of the screen, but this makes it even faster. After uniting with your shadow, you can go to the last part of the level. This is RNG dependent, how the tiles fall, and in this case we were lucky enough that none of the tiles fell on us. And here we will face the last enemy, which is the evil Jafar, who enslaved the princess, and this will be a way that is also slower than the fastest way, but it's so poetic. Here we abuse the music in this game. While music plays, he cannot move, and if he cannot move, he will die in one shot. So we one-shot Jafar. So no one has ever seen this before, this task, and this allows us to clip through this door, hitting our head against it. Now, this is the last level already. This is time already, sorry, because last level doesn't count. I guess for the task, yes, but now this is time. So 13:10 is what the task time is. It's 12 minutes, 8 seconds for the RTA timing. Thank you very much for watching.